All right. My name is James Moghabghab. That sounds funny because what's a Moghabghab doing in Salisbury? Not a Pike, not a Dow in Eton, French. I can go on. My family's been here since the late 1800s. We were in business at Salisbury Beach. So I grew up at the beach, and I'm now I have been for a while, the president of the Salisbury, I was almost going to say East Parish again. I'm the president of the Salisbury Historical Society. And we're going to put on a little presentation. I have era music, but I'm not going to put it on now because it'll interfere with the cable. And I don't want Lance getting too mad at me, you know. And we have a celebrity here, and I will introduce the person later. But I'll get on. Salisbury, and feel free to ask questions as I ramble through this thing. As you can see the sign here, these are brand new signs dedicated I think they were last spring, probably, I don't know, 20 of them. They mysteriously, 90% of them mysteriously were disappeared throughout the years, and so the state put new ones up for us. And I don't know if anybody realizes the early name of Salisbury was Colchester. And then it went into Salisbury, of course, and there it is right there. Right in front of you if you can read. First meeting house. And again, feel free to ask questions or correct me. First meeting house was right up here in the corner. And there's the date, 1640, the bell. 1640, they hung the bell in 1642. And this, what you're sitting in, is parish, used to be parish property. And that was a parish back then. Come on now. And this is a picture of probably mid to late 1800s at the Salisbury Beach on the ocean. And you can see there's considerable amount of sand out there compared to now. Now you walk 2 feet and drop off. Back then you walk and walk and walk. And there is part of our celebrity. And we have correct me now, is it the great-great-granddaughter?
Well,
or is it the
aunt? My 10th great-grandmother.
10th great-grandmother. So we have a witch in our presidents. At least her husband keeps telling me that. But just to let you know, so I'm going to elaborate on this here, is that in spite of being a witch, we have the first person stopped the witches from going through to Salem was Major Robert Pike. So we have another celebrity over here, a relative of Major Robert Pike, and he stopped the witches from going through to Salem to be burned or executed or hung, whatever they did at the time. And Major Robert Pike was the commander-in-chief of all the armies north of the Merrimack River. And we don't want to forget the Bartlett Farm and the Plains area of Salisbury. And this is a picture of one of the houses, which is still standing. There's a couple others up there, too. And, of course, there's Salisbury's finest. It's the first fire engine, firing apparatus, actually, in Salisbury was the Red Wing, and was it Danny Frost Lester rebuilt it? Yep. He sold it, hasn't he?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think so.
You still got it? Well, we have actually had it here for musters. We've had musters in town, and they used it in the old pumping. That's our old first fire truck. And there's the next one, it's the celebrities. You remember that picture?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. We had our first mailman, and that was Nancy's, great-great-grandfather. That's quite a.
And my father ended up being a
Oh, did you-
rural mail carrier.
oh,
He
did your
was
father?
As well, yeah.
Okay, good.
And his father before him. So
Oh,
three
wow.
generations.
3 generations. I told you we had a celebrity here. And you're nothing, so sit down, you.
Whoever's interested, that's a 1904 Rambler.
1904, is that what it is? Right.
You
1904.
see the pockets in the sides for the.
Yeah, amazing. Good pictures, thank you. He also, because he couldn't make any money, it was for free, you know, because delivering mail, so he had to have his own store to make a few bucks. So he had a grocery store, right?
Yeah.
And he delivered, didn't he?
Salisbury Beach, yeah.
Yeah, down at the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, some of you would remember this house. Can you see it at all, Bruce? No. The cement wall, Salisbury Square,
Oh, yeah,
the house sitting there. This is, you know where the Richdale is, everyone? Or was, anyway. The sign out front that was sitting right there, that house. That's all that's left of that corner. Richdale's, and it was right close to the road, actually, that house. To the left was the parish property, and it used to be the post office. Then it was the. Now I want you to note this because later I'm going to ask you a question. This picture. This was 1800s. Actually, late 1800s, probably early 1900 picture, because there's a horse and buggy there and a watering trough. So now check the whole thing out. You're looking at the East Parish Meeting House. You're looking at the tavern,
Yep.
where the attorneys are now, and no hot top. Dirt road. Later on in this, you'll see another picture that I'll bring it to your attention. Now, you all know what this building is. Town Hall. And on the left, you'll see the library. That's where the library was. On the right was a pool hall. And upstairs, they used to do, what do you call those back then? Minstrel shows. And then in the back was a wooden puzzle factory. And I don't have them out, but we have the original wooden puzzles that they made there. And it was Annie Spring that donated them. She had two or three of them, and she donated those. You recognize that house, don't you?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
And that's your
That
great
was
great.
Gus's house.
Is that what it is?
Gus
Great
Davis,
great grandfather? Yeah, great great
Great-great-grandfather's
grandfather.
house. He built
And
the
that's.
house.
Does anyone know where this is? You remember it at all? Anybody? That's right where the Institution for Savings is.
Yeah.
And that was the house that was there.
I have a picture.
And then there was the foothouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you gave me all these photos.
Well, I have
A long time ago, Nancy, a long time ago. All right, there it is. Now, this is a little trivia here. What's different?
The tree in the front.
Pardon?
The tree in the front.
No, but, no, not yet. Go ahead. Anybody else
There's no
notice?
clock?
There's no clock.
Oh.
This is pre-1884. This is before the clocks were put in, and I don't remember his name. Unless you remember it at all, I don't remember it. But there was this gentleman. Apparently, he had a lot of money. Can you hear me down there?
Yeah.
Apparently, he had a lot of money, and he used to travel up and down the New England. And he said, I like these buildings, but they're bare, and I want to do something. I think that's what the story was. So I'm going to give them all clocks. And there's quite a few. Hampton Falls is one. Salisbury, Newburyport has one. There's quite a few all up and down, up in Maine, and he donated all the clocks. This was 1894. But this was pre-1894. It's pretty early. That's the East Parish Meeting House. Yes?
Does everybody realize there are no numbers
Right.
Memorial.
Is that
It's memorial gift.
Memorial?
Yeah.
Thank you. I meant to say that and I forgot all about it. I'm glad you guys are here. I had Paul Watson here picking on me earlier, which was great because he knew some of the stuff. And now I have the Sintons here. And the Rose. And the Pikes are here. The originators.
What's the significance of the no numbers?
It was a gift.
Yeah.
That was the deal. I'll give you this clock, I'll do this, memorial gift.
Yeah, so what does that have to do
It's
with no
12
numbers?
letters.
It's
12 letters.
It's 12 letters.
12 letters.
Oh,
One for
right.
each album.
So each one represented an hour.
That's what it is. Now it's,
Right. I forgot all about that. That's why I have my friends show up and heckle me.
We'll do our best.
Well, it's better that way, right? It's better that way. I don't have a problem with it. All right, you're looking at Rings Island from Newburyport, and you're looking at the Vinegar House on the far right. And it was the Coffins that they owned a lot down there at Rings Island, actually.
Which one is the Vinegar House? Far
It's
right?
way off to the right. It's that,
The small one?
yeah,
The little.
the little, right. Yep, and coffins were very significant in Nantucket. They were whalers. And a lot of them moved to Nantucket and started Nantucket. Not like you see it today, but it was a fishing community. Rings Island was a fishing community. They also a shipbuilding. Just to let you know, it wasn't just Newburyport. Salisbury was shipbuilding community. Now this is obviously, if you can look at it now, you see Salisbury Square. It was Bickford's filling station. On the right, that's where CVS is. And then the East Parish Meeting House straight ahead, the tavern. And then this is what the square looked like with no hot top. And that's a trolley track that you see heading to the beach. And that's the Atlantic. You're on the ocean, on the beachfront, looking in. The bandstand, the dance floor. You're looking at the Atlantic Hotel on the right, which was burned in 1913. Now you're looking at the second, well, as far as I can figure out, the second school in Salisbury. The Cushing School. It was also what, Bruce?
To be a library.
Used to be the library, and what else? The athletic club we used to.
Athletic club.
Right. So they used it for many things. It was quite a good use. Eventually, of course, it got torn down, and now you see the. Well, it used to be the bank and the post office and the coffee shop, and it's right here in Salisbury Square. And off to the left, you see the house, and back of it was the Spalding School, and you'll see that in a few minutes. How many of you have seen this picture before? This is on the Newburyport side of the Route 1 bridge. This is a wooden bridge. The train trestle's up on the left, and you're looking at Rings Island from Newburyport, and that's a wooden bridge. Well, part wooden, part stone. You must remember that, Lester, huh?
Yeah. I remember when they built it, yeah.
And there's another picture of it. You get a better picture from the trestle, actually. Rings Island, how it looked there. And there's the metal bridge that we all,
The old green.
the old green, it used to be green, right?
The old green bridge.
The old green bridge, 1902. And probably, if you're looking, and those are oxen, there probably was the Bartletts coming across the... And you're looking from the Salisbury side. And you know what the bridge looks like now. And this is the life-saving station, and actually that's a postcard. But that was down at Salisbury Beach, and that was located... Oh God, my brain is gone here. That was located north of the Broadway, on the ocean. And just to let you know that Salisbury had the first life-saving station in the United States. Official. There it is again, and you see the Atlantic Hotel on the right. I don't know what this one is. And then this is what brought the people to the beach, which was in the mid-18 to late 1800s, was the Ocean Echo, and this is the first Ocean Echo, because it was, a storm took most of it at one time.
It's huge.
Big, oh, it's big.
Enormous.
It was a big place. Bigger than, just kind of imagine how big that was. And that's the #1 flying horses. Whoops, what did I do? Well, that's all, you can see it. At Salisbury Beach, and that was up by the water. And then it got changed into a dance hall because they sold the flying horses. And that was pretty early, because there were 3 at Salisbury Beach. 3 that I knew about, anyway. And there's a trolley heading from uptown. And that's right on the Broadway. And that's just a lunch room there. The trolley used to run from Salisbury Beach up. It also used to run through across Seabrook to Hampton. And then they had a dummy train, they called it, run from along Atlantic Avenue right up to Black Rocks, because there was a big hotel out on Black Rocks, and the steamer Merrimack used to come up and deliver people from the Haverhill area down to Black Rocks, and then go across over to Plum Island also. And that's Rings Island, and that's why I said they were a shipbuilding community. And that's one of the ships they built, and I don't know the name of it. I couldn't get the name. There it is. And they had a movie theater down at Salisbury Beach, and that's just as you come on the beach. So you put yourself in the town parking lot, facing towards the square, and that's the Bijou, right there. And that's facing the ocean, bandstand. And that's the trolley station there. And that's the Newark Hotel, which was burned, and then they rebuilt it into a cement block building. Whoops, I went by it. And that's facing west, and that was a dance hall on the right. And that, beyond the trolley car went out and up Beach Road, take you home. And it also went to Hampton. And that's the Hope Chapel. And that, anybody remember the Hope Chapel at all? Nobody, huh? God, am I the oldest one in the place? Holy God. That was the first Hope Chapel. It got burned in 1913. They replaced it. And then it went down again in another fire. And they never rebuilt it. And the Congregational Church owned it. So they never rebuilt it at that time. And that was at Salisbury Beach. And that was on the south side of the police station.
Is that where the organ comes from?
The organ, we have the Hope Chapel organ here.
Right behind you?
In the, no.
That's not it?
No, it's in the garage.
Oh, okay.
And the bell is in the square. The bell had many turnarounds, because originally the bell was in Kingston, I think it was. And they used to use it for warning the people on an Indian attack. And then Dr. Spaulding bought it for the Hope Chapel and built the Hope Chapel. So it's been around the block. Okay, this is another at the on the beach, a life-saving station. I think this is closer to Black Rocks. Oh, they have another picture of the Atlantic Hotel. Wow, from the beach. And then that's Salisbury Square. And that's no hot top. Okay, on the right was Klein's store. In the background on the right, far right, you can see the Cushing School with the flagpole. And then the same houses are still right here, just up the street from us. And then we're just beyond that as it turns around. So you can see there's a lot of, if you visualize the square, whoops, if you visualize the square in your brain here now and say, here's Salisbury Square, the park is right there. You're looking at the park, but you know what you're looking at is you're looking at a farmhouse sitting there. It was the Dow Farm. And it was right there. To the right, behind these trees, is where we are right now. That's Elm Street. This is Route 1. And this is on the beach road side, on the beach side of the square. Right. Did I explain that all right? You got that out there?
Route 110 is this one,
Off to the right.
off the right. You said
Right.
Route 1's the other one.
Route 1 is left. Right. Now this is what the Ocean Echo looked like inside for dancing. And they had big band sounds all the time, dancing, big time. Big turnout, all the time, all the time.
New TV back
Now there's, that's right, that's part of it. That's the Jenny M. Carter. Anybody been to the beach at all? And you see, sometimes at low tide you see that wreck there still. Not like this. It's gone further down, of course, but that's right there at the center of the beach, right off. And that's the beach on Broadway looking north. And so you can see what was at the beach. Little shacks, some big buildings, tents. So things were going, even in the early 1800s, especially when the steamboat came up, things really got busy. I think he must be selling or renting bathing suits. But look at the bathing suits there. Can you see them at all? God. Oh, I must have, that's an extra one. I must have not put that one out of there. And that's the Venetian Hotel, and that's right along the beach area. Whoops, okay. All right. This is Rings Island looking across to Newburyport, and the Cooper shops. Does anybody know what a Cooper shop is? Barrels. Making barrels. They make vinegar down there because that was before. They built ships there, as you can see some. And it was a fishing community, actually. Big fishing community. This was part of the trolley, but they call that a dummy engine. And what that did was it ran from Salisbury Beach, Broadway, along Atlantic Avenue, actually on the uptown side of Broadway, Atlantic Avenue, and it went out to Black Rocks. And out on Black Rocks was a couple of hotels, houses, and it would bring the people down from there off of the Merrimack, steamer Merrimack, to stay in the Broadway area where there were more hotels. So that was called a dummy engine. I don't know, because it's smaller or... These are from photographs. And you can see the trolley again, and that was heading out of the beach. So it was a cable, stables and auto station. So it had to be late 1800s, early 19s. I don't see a car in the background, but now there's the Jenny M. Carter. That's an actual photograph. And you're looking north, and you're looking at the Ocean Echo. Now you're looking at, the first Ocean Echo before it got wrecked and they rebuilt it, because look how big it is. And I guess they lost all hands. And the ship was ashore, and then it went back out to sea on another high tide, and then it drifted down in front of where we know the Frolics used to be in the Ocean Echo, and that's where it stayed almost 100 years now. Yeah. And a lot of these houses have the granite that was hauled and the beams that were in the ship. There it is again. You can see the life saving station. People went out to try to save these people. They never found anybody on board.
They found a cat.
Would they find a cat?
A cat?
Maybe. That part I don't remember, but it could be. That's Black Rocks, and that's part of the pier. But if you have another picture, which I didn't put on here, sorry, but they had you can see all the hotels down at Black Rocks, and a lot of houses. People live there in the summer. And that's Plum Island off to the right. Now that's a different scene. That's in the 1800s also, and that's looking east. And that is Beach Road, right where Foot's Ice Cream. Just as you come up to that point, you're looking east, looking to the beach. And that's what it looks like. It doesn't look like that now, does it? And that's the, well, it's not the plank road there, but we call it the plank road that you're heading west to the Salisbury Square. That's the entrance to the beach. And there used to be a toll road there, and it was a plank road, and that will be coming up in a minute. Because they had to cut those planks to make it, whoops, that was the Dennis Hotel. The Dennis Hotel, does everyone know where the Normandy Hotel is? Or the lounge down there? Oops. Oh, sorry, I'll go. That's still there, that building. Not quite the same, but still there. And it's only 2 stories now, because they had a fire many years ago.
Lots of fires.
It went from the Dennis to something else to the Normandy, and then now it's a lounge upstairs and retail downstairs. And that building's still there. And now it's oceanfront. It was oceanfront when it was built, and then stuff was built in front of it again, and now it's oceanfront again, because there's nothing on the ocean there. And can you see that at all, Pikey? That's the train station. And that's looking south.
Okay, yeah.
And if some of you look real good, you'll see a fence. And that fence is Route 110. No bridge. It's Route 110 going across it. So basically, if you're looking south, then the station's on your right there, and the square is over here on this side here. So Salisbury did have a train station.
Oh, yeah. I used to go up there and hop the train in Newburyport for nothing.
That's right.
'Cause they
And
get
come
on
back,
board,
right.
We're going to the movies.
We went to the movies, didn't we?
Up
That's
on
right.
one day stop in Newburyport. And we walked up
That's
there.
right. That's right. We did. Oh, I remember that. That's the Star of the Sea Church. And Judy corrected me earlier because I forgot the date. It was 1896 it was built. It's a good thing she was here. I forgot. That's at the beach.
How come everybody's walking together? Was it,
That's just a Sunday gathering. They want to all show off their wear, I guess. And there it is again, a picture of it. And that's the Newark Hotel, and that's on the north side of the beach. Probably where, just to the west of Salisbury Beach Discount, right now, that building, on Broadway. And there it is again, you can see it off to the right with the flags on it. And then down the end you can see the theater. And no, I don't remember it, and Bruce doesn't remember it, so. And we've been here a long time. And down here with the flag on it again is Willie's Candy. You all know what Willie's Candy is. Most of you do, right? And that used to be the post office and Willie's Candy. And then over here, and this is out of proportion because it's a postcard. But it's basically the Ferris wheel, the old Ferris wheel. And then you went in what they call the roller coaster, which was the Thriller, really, they called it. And then my great uncle had this ride, and you'll see it in a minute. It was this big tall tower, and it had these cars in it, and you would sit in it, and the thing would go around, and you would spin out, and you'd be over the Ferris wheel. Yeah, and I don't know the name. Yeah,
No, go ahead.
I don't know the name of it, but it's certainly now. There's the plank, as you can see, the plank road, but this is a postcard, and I don't think that's the way they did a plank road. I think that they just somebody, but that's going on to the beach. And the Atlantic, if that's the Atlantic Hotel, it's in the wrong spot. But that's all right though. So over here, make sure this is, we'll start this way. The ocean's over here. The pavilion now, the sea glass is here, and that's the roller skating rink, because I used to roller skate there all the time. And this was a bathhouse, which most of you don't remember. And then they had a ride in the middle here. And then this was a hotel, and this is where the Sea Glass has their second parking lot on the north side. There's 2 parking lots there, and that's where that is there. And then you come down, because this is an old picture now, and there are, you know, rides and food places here. Now, in about 2 seconds, and I'm going to see if I can get you over there. Right there. Can you read that?
Shaheen Corner.
Shaheen Corner. So this was, I would say, mid-1800s, Shaheen's. Just to let you know how long the Lebanese have been in this country. They're Lebanese are Shaheen's. My father owned that in the 1910. We had ice cream stand there. Okay? And then after that it was, and I'll bet you'll never remember, Papulius owned it. And then I went into Joe's, and they were the Abdullahs. And then the Abdullahs are related to it was the Haballas are related to the Abdullahs. That's how they have it now, Joe's Playland. So that's what you have in there. All Lebanese, I guess, huh? But that's what you see right there now. That's still there. Not quite the same building, but it's still there. So, oops.
Jim,
Yeah.
a lot of those, several of the hotels looked like they had stone edifices.
Yeah.
Did that help them survive at all, or was the inner parts wood and they burned? Or what?
Some burned, some didn't. It depended if the fire was hot enough with the 1913 fire, they gone. Some it protected. It was mostly the wind that took most of those buildings.
Really?
Yeah, the heat was so intense that even with
fire.
the fires, that's what took most. And then the storms, they were protected because of the cement blocks. A lot of them were, and a lot weren't. Just the wind and the way it's coming, and it's pretty tough down at the beach sometimes. But they had more beachfront then.
They have a fire down in 1945 or so.
1947 or something like that, they had another fire, and it took most of the south end of the beach.
Right.
And they took the roller coaster, part of the roller coaster went again. It caught on fire. So the roller coasters had a couple of fires, but the 1913 fire took more than 50% of it. The 47, I think it was 47, 48, because I remember the
I
fire.
remember from
Yeah, well, you remember.
Yeah.
And it took a good part of the south end of the beach. Really did. Well, you have a call fire, and they did good, the call fire department. I mean, they really, God bless them for whatever they had for people. This was the roller coaster, but it was called the Thriller. And it certainly was called, it was a thriller, I'll tell you. I mean, I like to tell you, I'm glad I don't tell you I know this, but the other one I do, but not this one. So they've had the roller coaster for a long time. Oh, there it is again. That's the Normandy again. The Dennis. So there's Willie's, and to the left is the post office. And then here's the, well,
the Dodgem said in there somewhere.
well, it's out of proportion because it's a postcard, and they really didn't set things. But you can get an idea what the beach looked like. The beach had its heyday between 1880s and 1960s, and then after that, before the 1880s, it was all right, moderate, but then after the 60s, it started to really go down. But more and more places opened up on the lakes regions and the beaches up and down, and
Well, the town went
that's
dry.
what happened.
Town went dry in 50.
Well, 59 the town went dry, and only once it went dry. That was quick. This was the Ocean Echo, and this is probably, wow, those are pretty early. What year are those? What are those, Lester? 20s?
Yeah, late 20s.
Yeah, late 20s. Yeah, so it's Ocean Echo still, and everything's out of proportion. I mean, it's the buildings are like supposed, there, but this is actually a photograph. So you can see the Atlantic houses right there. That's why I said the postcard was way out of whack because they had the Atlantic house down, unless there were two and I don't know about it. And then you go down and it was the Thriller right there in the middle, and then way on the right there, that building on the right was Willie's, and that was the post office. And if you look at the street, what do you see? Sand, dirt, it's sand, really. Now there's the sidewalk, and that was probably I would say 1920, 30s, right in there. They started to put a sidewalk in. The deal was that the state owned up to the bank and up to the dunes, and then they would put a sidewalk all the way down from the Black Rocks down to Seabrook, and they were going to light it, and they started it, and then the Second World War popped up, and that was the end of that. The money dried up, and all the money had to go there, and occasionally I have people come in. In fact, one of the people just left has pictures of it. Some of them been uncovered.
Yeah, where my.
Well, you would probably remember some of it
my
once in a while.
grandfather's cottage was, there was a sidewalk and
Sure.
there.
Sure,
And that was across from the Seagate.
that's right.
You know where
Yeah,
that is?
sure. That was a good thing, but a nice thing, but, Bruce, you must remember this, right? This is the horse jumping off of the tower. And, yeah, that was 18-something. I thought you remembered this. God almighty. Yeah.
Yeah, I let him up.
Nancy, has he got a little something going? Now there's my, you can't. It's out of proportion because of the postcard, but that's the Normandy, the Dennis, and that tall tower there is what my great uncle owned. My family was in the amusement and food at the beach, and that was quite the ride at one time, until it got burned down, and it was all metal, but it toppled right over, I guess. And that is right next door to where the Richdale sign is, on this side of it, and that was the post office in Salisbury. Then it became the barber shop, and of course now it's gone, of course. A lot of things are gone. Bruce and I used to go in there to get, my mother was a hairstylist, and she could cut my hair, but I guess that was a long time ago. But we had to go to the barber shop.
We both got the same hair.
We got the both same haircut now, right? We go in there, and we always thought, geez, I feel a little dizzy going in this place, and because the floor went just like this. That was that cheap parish. Wouldn't fix the floor.
Make you run to the chair when you go to the door.
Now, if you notice, yeah. Is this? I gotta look close myself, guys. I have to look. Post office.
Yeah.
Right there. And that was right. So that's an old photograph because that was an original roller skating rink there. It was right next door to Willie's. And that was not that it was Willie's. They might have owned it, but that was it right there in the post office. And then the fire took it, and they built the cement block building you see today. And then the post office moved over on another corner. And it still was postmarked Cushing. Salisbury Beach was called Cushing. And this house still stands. This one's a wreck. That one's in great shape. The other one's in really good shape now because the Abdullahs bought it, two of the boys, and fixed it. And that's the Smith house. That used to be the Shaw house. And the Shaws are actually the ones that did the surveying of Salisbury Beach and laying out the property. And then the Smiths and the Pratts took over. And so that house is still there, owned by the same family. And there it is right there, and I don't think you can see it. No, you can't. I didn't put the other photo in. But this is the steamer Merrimack, and this is what brought hundreds of people all the time from the Haverhill area to the beach and to Plum Island. And I don't think it ever went out of the river because it was a flat-bottom steamboat. That's what it was. They would have probably tipped over. And they brought hundreds and hundreds of people down all the time, and that's why they had that dummy train running back and forth to the beach to bring people back to the hotels there. They had hotels on the river right there, but they had a lot more down on the Broadway as you know it now. And they had two piers out there, not just one. There was another one. And if you don't understand what Black Rocks is, it's just the ocean side of Butler's Toothpick. Ben Butler's Toothpick, right? It's all those rocks in there. Some people mistake it for the jetties, and it's not. And there is Salisbury Square, and this is not actually as Bruce and I remember it, okay? When we were growing up, this was actually a clapboarded house, and it was the actually wide boards. Remember the? And that appears to be brick, and that wasn't brick. It was wood. And it was a beautiful old house. And then right next to it was the trolley station. And then after that, well, in our time, but before that, it was there was a bowling alley in the background. That's right in Salisbury Square. You all know where the pizza place is in the corner, going to the beach, and that's what that building is, still there.
Used to be Dempsey's Corner.
Dempsey's Corner, right. That tree has grown big now.
They had a pool room out front, bowling in the back.
Right. Now there's your plank, I call it your plank road because you can't see it, they filled it in. But that was a toll house there. They actually charge you to go onto the beach at one time. That's one of your relatives right there.
Could be,
There's the Ocean Echo on the left. Now, I don't know if any of you realize that the Wright brothers came to Salisbury. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
Yeah, there it is, right there. Wright brothers, Lafayette Road. They were coming down Lafayette Road. They would hit certain amusement areas, take off on the beach, and then come back. And yeah, they did it all up and down the coast, from Virginia up in 1912. There you go. This is the 1913 fire, so you can see what it did to the roller coaster, or the Thriller. And that, I think that's them picking up the Hope Chapel bell, because if you look at the roller coaster, that's about the right location for the Hope Chapel Church. And if the police station would be down here. There's another picture of the devastation. It really took a lot. I mean, it really swept the beach. And I don't know if you know, but they had a movie theater. There was a dance hall on the right. And that eventually became the barn, which was my family's. There's the fire again, 1913 fire. Anybody want to ask questions, please feel free to ask, talk, I don't like to hear myself forever, Okay, this is the train station in Salisbury, and we're looking south, all right? Because the train station is on the west side of the tracks. And then Bruce and I used to go in there, go to the movies, and then we also used to go in there and warm up before we went hunting at 4 o'clock in the morning out in the marsh. Just beyond there is the marsh. which is right out here by the rail trail. We used to go hunting. We would walk the tracks and go hunting out into the creeks out there.
There used to be a creek that come up in back. Put Calibut down here, the old
Right.
place.
Right.
We used to take a boat, put all our stuff in a decoys and slide it up
This-
the track
this-
up to here.
This is a great story.
We lived right around here. So in the morning, we get up, Jimmy would come over and.
I'd wake them all up because they didn't know how to
He's
get
really
up.
good, this guy here. He'd wake us up, we'd lock our stuff up, throw it in the boat, slide it down the track and put it in the water, cause always high tide when we get down.
There was frost on the track, so it was easy to take a flat bottom boat over the track.
Go up to our hunt.
So we were, go ahead, tell them what happened. I says,
Oh,
wouldn't that be something if the
Something the
train would come behind us? And I look around and
The light was getting brighter.
so help me, I looked and I says, oh my God, that darn train is coming. We rushed to pull that boat off the track, and believe me, we were
Yeah.
that close to getting off the track. That thing was moving.
We could've got a nice push down there.
Yeah. That was a couple of years ago at the Salisbury Beach Associates building. And then here in uptown, when we moved uptown. And it's quite a nightclub. It was a beautiful nightclub, you know, and that's when when you went to the beach, it was like a show. You went there to see the show, and then you went to go to the show after. And what I mean by that is that you would sit there and watch people come in dressed to the hilt with their furs in the middle of summer, with all their gowns on, and they would go to the beach. And you must remember some of that. Do you remember that at all? You know, do you remember the beach at all? You never came to the beach? Well, I know Alice did. Yeah. And it was like a show. It was like a big show. It was like 2 shows you would get. And so, you know, if we went to the frolics, my wife would say, oh, you got to put a suit and a tie on. You got to dress up, right? So it was like 2 shows you would see. It's quite a place. And the frolic, it wasn't just there. The frolics, of course, took over after that. That's the number 3. As far as I can tell, this is the number 3 flying husses in Salisbury. Unlike what people think, that was sold. It was sold for $25,000 from what I can figure out. More? Yeah. And the town should have bought it. Town should have bought it.
Did the Frolics go where the barn was?
No, the Frolics was where the Ocean Echo was.
Okay.
Okay, you know, the story is that the Ocean Echo in 1938 was bought by the Mulcahys. And they built the Frolics. They changed the marquee, so it didn't have the round dome on the top, and it was the Frolics look, and you'll see it in a minute. And they built it, and they had the big band sound, and they also had at that time, the big names started coming out. They started to have big entertainment and dancing. So they had the entertainment, and then you would dine and dance and watch a show. So that's what there was. There were 2 big nightclubs in Salisbury: the Frolics, the Bond. And then if you wanted to go to, I'll show you a couple in a minute. This is like in the 30s also. This is Salisbury Square as Bruce and I remember it when we were kids.
That's all that called.
As you walk down, it's the barber shop, and it used to be the post office. And then it's McLean's Market, and he used to wholesale and retail. And then the Cushing School, and then this house is still here, but it's got the insurance company in it, the coin shop. They added a little section on, and then you go to the next house there, and that's still there. And just around the corner is the limo service, which is a very old house, and then us.
I was born here.
Bruce was born right on that street, right open.
The house was limousine.
And then this is across the street in Salisbury Square. This is right where the gas station is, right here, the Cumberland Farm or whatever they call it. And that's what that was. And you're looking at the pizza place, which was Dempsey's, and the car mount. You can't see it's a picture. That's a photograph.
That's Malakis.
Yeah. No, before that it wasn't.
No,
I forget his name. That's Klein's again, another picture of it. That was the barber shop on the right, or post office. A lot of snow.
Yes.
That was in the late 30s. That what that car is, Lester? Look at that.
Late 30s, yeah.
Yep. Now this is a picture of the roller skating rink on the right, and that was the second roller skating rink. The first one was by Willie's. The second one was by on the ocean front where the Sea Glass is now, and that was a miniature golf. And then just off to the right was the whip, because you'll see that. Or did you see it? No. And that person right here, nobody here will remember. No, I guess not. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's somebody here that could remember. I just saw you, honey. That was my cousin Vivian.
Oh, yeah,
Vivian Moghabghab.
fine.
Sturgis. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there is.
Yeah.
I can always guarantee there's going to be somebody here to help me. And that was probably 1930. I don't want to say that too loud now for you, but I'd say 36, 37. And there was a hotel right here my aunt owned. And there's an aerial photo, and that was about 1938. And this is the Ocean Echo. And the reason I know it's the Ocean Echo is because you check the marquee out. The Frolics changed it to a rectangle, the Frolics. And then there's the Dennis, which is the Normandy. And then right in the middle, you know what that all is, the roller coaster. And then my great uncle's ride, you can just barely see it. It's right there. And Broadway. This here was the bathhouse. And then this side of it was the roller skating rink. So I do remember some of the things. I grew up at the beach. My family owned business at the beach. I had to put up with, working since I was, oh God, I hate to tell you, probably 8 years old peeling potatoes and
Didn't do you any harm.
Yes.
didn't do me any harm. Yeah, that's right. You like my cooking, don't you, Heather?
Yes, yes. Highly recommend.
This is 1938 on Salisbury Beach. It's an aerial photo, and it is the tercentenary. This is the 300th anniversary of Salisbury. We celebrated in 1988 the 350th, and today we're celebrating the 375th anniversary of Salisbury. And there's the barn. There's the, well, it was still the Ocean Echo at the time. Where in the back, the Normandy, the roller coaster, my great uncle's ride was still there, I guess. No, that wasn't it. And that was a parade heading up to the square. And the reason I know that parade headed to the square, and they had a big parade, and it was like a 5-day event, was because Celia was involved in it, and she played the piano. And that was 1938. Celia also played at the pavilion. We had a ball at the pavilion, and I convinced her, unless I told her I wouldn't do her hair anymore, she didn't, to play the piano at the party we had, and she did. So she did twice. She's done it, the 300th and the 350th, and she's still around and driving
Yep.
at the 375th.
Where's the piano?
That's right. That's right. That's right. No more piano. Well, she has she still plays, but not like that.
Well, where's the piano?
No piano. Oh, on the float. She had a piano on the float. They put a piano on the float for her, and then they also had a big party at the Frolics or the Ocean Echo. This is what she told me now. And they had a big ball there, and she played there. Oh yeah. There it is again, looking north. As you can see the Star of the Sea Church way up on the top, the ocean, the marsh. You could smell the marsh last night. Okay, there's the inside of the Frolics. It probably held 1,000, 1,200 people.
Wow.
A lot of people it held. It was a big place. I gotta tell you, it was a humongous place.
Shows there.
Great shows, huh?
Yeah.
It was great. Wasn't that a great place?
Yes, it was a wonderful
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. Yeah, and it looked, like the barn had similar look like that. Didn't hold as many people, hold about 500 people or so. There it is as the Frolics change. So you're looking at probably 40s, 45, somewhere in there. Yeah, late 30s. It's a postcard, but it's pretty good. This is the Salisbury Beach Associates building. When the Salisbury Beach Associates was formed, they built this building. They had their office up there. As you can see, they had a restaurant, a bakery, and my mother was up on the top, way down in the back, had a beauty shop right there until 1944. And then when we moved uptown, she put the beauty shop there, so all the stars still came there so she could do their hair. And then this is it later in the 60s. The Salisbury Beach Discount House is still there, only it's gone, that building, and it's a whole different building now, of course.
Is it the same people that owned it then that own it?
They don't own the building. They own maybe they own the building now. Abdullah's? Yeah, but they don't own the building, they rent, but they're there.
Yeah.
And Giordano.
Yeah.
But Sandy owns it with her husband.
Yeah.
Eddie's gone, you know. Remember he was in the Frolics at one time renting?
Say again?
When the Frolics was closed, he had a Salisbury Discount House there too.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I guess another one. You should have edited it for me. Where were you, Lance? All right, we're on Salisbury Beach looking south, and we're at the end of the Frolics. Now, at the end and back of me, we'll say, is bowling lanes, part of the Frolics. And they were duck pins, they were called. Next door, right outside, was a 60 by 30 or so foot pool. And it was a saltwater pool. And this is where Bruce and I learned how to swim. Here in the dock. And it was salt water. They changed it all the time. They had a pipe running out. The town put a pipe all the way out for them. They draw water in. They pump the dirty water out. So you had fresh water all the time, as fresh as it could be.
There's a big difference.
And they had a 20-foot tower that you dive off. Then they had diving boards, but that's how we learned. First thing they did was dump us off that 20-foot tower.
Yeah, then we learned.
5 years old.
We learned at the dock. Big difference was the dock. You went nude. Here you had that big.
You're on TV now. You don't want to say that.
That's okay. I can tell you the truth.
But we had a good time. That's a great place to.
Across the street.
Now I bet you don't know where this is. Any ideas? You're down to Salisbury Beach State Park,
Oh, yeah.
and this is the Second World War, and those are the barracks. We actually had a base at Salisbury Beach, and this was part of the barracks down there in 1940s. Actually, in the 30s. Actually, I put 40s there, and you're looking at Butler's toothpicks. So you're looking inland. Whoops. Anyway, down at Salisbury Beach, I didn't put them up there, but one of the earlier people brought up the gun turrets, and well, she has recently taken pictures.
Didn't one of the storms just recently uncover?
She was down. I guess she has a place at the beach, and she took pictures of all the uncovered turrets. They were all cement.
Yeah,
where the
there was
guns were
one
set
right
on.
beside our house.
Right.
The Conley Cottage.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's where the guns were. And in the 1940s, 41, 42, 43, I was babysat by the Army because they like to go to my family's restaurant and eat and drink. And my mother traded off Arabic food for babysitting.
That's a good time.
And I don't have the picture here, but I have the picture, there's so many pictures I could put on there. And I have pictures of me on walking with the soldiers, and they would do duty from Black Rocks to Hampton River and back. And that was their duty. And they had 2 soldiers on all the time, guns, and I was either on their back or I was walking or running around. And if you see earlier pictures of me, you'll see a harness on me, so you'll know why my mother says. My wife says the same thing. Did you want to ask a question? Oh, okay. It was interesting. That quite a time during that war, and I remember the guns, just vaguely, but I remember them.
Do you remember that the fish would come right onto the shore and you could pick them up?
Oh God,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I was on the beach all the time.
yeah.
You know, the family had a restaurant there. So, this is the Spalding School, and this was the third school in Salisbury. Well, no, let me correct that now. The Pike School was the first school. The second school was the Cushing, and there's actually a school in Amesbury. It was Salisbury at the time. And I didn't put it on here, and it's because we just got the picture. And I never knew it. And I remember the building, only it looks different now because there was it was like a marquee in the front of the building for the school. There was a schoolhouse up by the ski tow. Off that, is it? Off of Market Street.
Prospect Street.
Yeah, Prospect Street. And I never knew that till just the other day. And someone came in with an old picture, and it said, "Schoolhouse, third schoolhouse, Salisbury, Mass." And that's before Salisbury changed, Amesbury changed, broke away from Salisbury. And I didn't realize that myself. So it's a great thing to see these things. As we're as you're talking now, if any of you out there, can I do that, Lance? Any of you out there, we're always looking for artifacts and pictures and even copies that are good so that we can show them to the people and show them what it was as days past. And that's what we got. We got a nice picture, beautiful picture. So it's great.
When was
Actually,
that-
actually, it's right there. But you can't see it good.
When was the third and fourth built?
I don't even remember. I have to look at it.
I'm trying to remember when the Rings Island School was built.
Oh, the Rings Island School. That's right, the Rings Island School. And I don't have I do have a picture of that, but I don't have it's like not really a photograph.
Yeah, we have some good ones.
Yes.
I think it was
18, yeah. But this is the Spalding School. This was added on 1950s. Early 50s, they added on the Memorial School because we were in the fourth grade then.
Yeah.
We had a fourth grade in the town hall.
Right.
That's where we met for town hall, at fourth grade. And then they later added the two schools together, like you see it today.
It went in the fifth grade.
So that was the Spalding School, Jacob F. Spalding. We were there. That was right there. And as you can see, as I said to you, harness.
Oh, is that you?
Actually, I don't have it on. That was my brother,
Oh, yeah.
and that's me. But normally I have it on.
He was a good one.
And this is, if you look off to the right, you'll see the roller skating rink. And then you'll see,
We roller skate all day for 10 cents.
oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Wasn't it great?
It
Yeah.
was absolutely
And we had our roller skates sit there all the time. They had them locked right up for us. And yeah, and this was the whip was right there, and then the miniature golf was right there also, because you saw the picture before with the miniature golf. And that was that's me, 1943. And that's on the beach in back of me, looking west towards uptown, and you can see the Newark is still over there, and that's probably 47, 48 date. And that's my cousin on the left. That's looking north. You can see the frolics, and you can see that's probably in the late 60s, and things are starting to change. Thank God for the cars, right, Lester? Because you can't tell sometimes. And this was our great motel at the beach, on the way to the beach. There was Henry's and George's Motel. And there really was nothing other than the old hotels, which were not too swift. Later. In the beginning they were great, but not later. So that's what they've gone to. That's what they went to, was Henry's Motel and George's on the way.
And the Stars used to stay there, right? At Henry's.
Sometimes, some of them, yeah. Now, some of you remember that. Lester, you wouldn't remember Jenny's Cafe. But you can see the Hope Chapel was right there. in the background.
Big sandwiches.
Yeah. Now, this is the strange, and I'm glad the people are here, some of the people are here that belong to this picture. Come on. Look good now. Yeah, you,
Not
Leona.
Cecile.
Cecile, I mean, I'm talking to her every week, that's why. The other one's Cecile. That is the Clover Club pre-1959.
Asking about the woman.
Oh, no. That's the Clover Club on Broadway, Salisbury Beach. I bet you're surprised I have that.
Yeah.
I get around, you know.
Yeah, but you don't know who the woman is.
Yes, I do. That's Doris Randall.
Oh, Doris, okay.
That's the, and that's on Broadway on the north side. That's right, probably just this side of where Hobo Cafe it used to be. Yeah, I do know the woman. I'm just curious to see if you have the pictures. And then there's a few of the stars. I don't have a lot of, actually I could have put the better picture on of McGuire Sisters because I did have a autograph of that. But that's what I'm looking for. If you've got pictures, great pictures of the stars at the beach and you want to get rid of them or let us copy them, please give us a call. Salisbury Historical Society. 978-465-8391. No pushing intended now. But we saw these stars and many, many more. And it was just great. It was a great experience in your life to see stuff like that. Now, off to the right was Mickey's, and it was a deli, and it was a great place to go for breakfast, lunch, and then because they stayed open late after hours, because that's where we all ended up, at Mickey's to have sandwiches, and it was great. This is in the 60s. And there it is again, the 60s, Mickey's and the, yeah, Shaheen's Panorama. There's your Frolics on the right. Himalaya. That's the Salisbury Beach Associates building, and the Ferris wheel used to be over in the other. They've moved it many times. There's Willie's. And this is later. That's from the Ferris wheel. Up, and this is like after the 350th, and they had the Yankee Homecoming Parade, and so we had a float, and if you notice, Mary's there, Maria, Barbara Thomas, Louise Young, Ronnie, Maria's nephew, and we won first place, by the way. There's a picture of the parsonage before we moved it back to its original site. In 1906, the town that building was here originally. This was where it was, and the state wanted to widen the road, so they insist that we move the building back or get rid of it. So the parish had to pay to move it back. The state did not come in and pick up the tab. We had to pay to move it back. So when we took this over, we sold that building up there. Sorry you can't get a picture of it, Lance. At Rings Island. And we took this building over from the East Parish, the Salisbury East Parish. And then the Salisbury East Parish had enough money to build a brand new parsonage for the minister. So it was a win-win-win situation for everybody. And now the town owns this Salisbury Historical Society building. So it's yours. And there it is. Oops, another one. It's your fault.
Always my fault.
This is something this is like a decal they had back in the, I'd say, late 50s. And I just let you know we do have a rail trail, and thanks to Jerry Clymer, it was and his associates that they really put together a nice package and got that rail trail in, because it's really a great place to walk.
Took the ghost train.
Did you? It's a
Yeah.
great walk. And this is a little trivia and some information about the town. I don't know if you can read it. Kind of interesting stuff. And there's a trivia if you ever want to get into it, but I'm not going to get into it. Questions. And that's that. Thank you very much.